This is going to be a slightly different kind of video. I'm going to talk about two really complex topics. On the one hand, employees, and on the other, physical workplaces, and the fact that many organizations are right now being absolutely ripped to pieces by external forces they can do very little about. And then I'm going to ask myself what IT can do about all of this. But for this to make sense, we need to open up the Pandora's box that is hybrid work. So if you're interested to know what I'm going to be talking about, give me 7 more minutes of your time and hold on to your hats. To start with, I don't think it comes as any surprise to anyone that there's a lot going on at the moment and that organizations are slowly but surely starting to come to terms with the fact that the only way to stay afloat in today's rather volatile environment is to reinvent how they're operating. To make more sense of all of this, I had a proper read of this autumn's work trend index from Microsoft called Hybrid Work is Just Work. Are we doing it wrong? Now, if you are in IT, you might think you don't need to know about all the intricacies of things like workplace transformation, let alone workforce transformation. But here's me telling you, you should be interested. Because in about 6 to 8 months from now, your business leaders would have turned these insights into business objectives with clear, measurable targets. And guess whose door they're going to be knocking on? That's right, IT. So why not get ahead of the curve and be prepared for when that call comes? It's 27 pages of pure gold, and I'm going to be boiling it down for you. All right, I want to highlight a couple of things from the report. The first one is around employees and their quite obvious reluctance to return to the office. Thing is, despite a ton of pressure and persuasions by business leaders to get their employees back into the office, many choose to not do that. They choose to just stay at home. And unfortunately, this has resulted in something Microsoft calls the productivity paranoia, which is characterized by a fear amongst leaders that employees are not really working. Which to me is a bit weird because since the start of the pandemic, the number of hours people actually work and the number of meetings people are attending is in fact increasing. Not just by a little, but by a stunning 153% from pre-pandemic times. So given all of this, it's easy to understand why a whopping 87% of all employees say that they are productive at work, but equally scary to learn that only 12% of business leaders say they have full confidence in their teams being productive. So what should we make out of this? And what do I personally think that the response will be to these types of insights? Well, I think the first thing that's going to happen is that business leaders will ask themselves the following question. What do they, as leaders, need to do to get their people back into the office? Now, here's a clue, and it's all in the report. Microsoft has done the hard work for you. They went out and they asked thousands of people, and it's all in there. Let's start with what Microsoft is telling you you shouldn't do. You shouldn't force people to come to the office by introducing a new mandatory work from the office kind of policy, because 73% of employees and 78% of business decision makers will tell you they need a much better reason than that to go into the office. So here's the million-dollar question then. What might that reason be? Well, again, Microsoft Work Trend Index has the answer. And I think it's unsurprising to us that it's our colleagues. 3 specific things stand out. 84% of global employees say that they would be motivated by the promise of socializing with coworkers, while 85% would be motivated by rebuilding team bonds. And 73% of global employees would go to the office more frequently if they knew that their direct team members would be there. So what is this telling me on a very personal level? Well, I think 2 things stand out. First, the physical office must transform from being primarily a place for work and to be transformed into a place for socializing and rebuilding the social fabric between employees. But as you and I know, socializing is a lot more than just things like foosball tables or climbing walls. Socializing also includes elements such as training and skills development. Microsoft Work Trend Index is giving us some juicy details on this. Let's start by looking at the baseline. Many workers feel that they need to leave their current company to develop their skills. 64% of millennials and 69% of executives think that the best way to develop their skills is to change companies. So I dug a bit deeper into Microsoft's Work Trend Index, and here's what I found. LinkedIn did a study, and they found that the opportunity to learn and grow is now the single most important element that drives great work culture, which we know is what makes people stay at their current companies. So just to recap, business leaders, they want their employees to come back into the office. Okay. People want to come in, but only if their colleagues are there. And we also know from research that learning and development is what is needed to create great work culture. So I think it's very likely that your business leaders are going to redevelop your offices into places for socializing, rebuilding connections both between and within teams, and turning these into places for learning. Here's the big question though. How should IT respond? Well, we need to think beyond our traditional productivity tools such as Microsoft Teams and start seeing these residing within a much wider context, including workplace solutions and workforce analytics. I also think we need to be open to the idea of adopting platforms that take advantage of the built-in capabilities that these solutions do provide us with, and then to turn these insights into actionable outcomes. And finally, we need to start building relationships with our peers in other departments such as HR and real estate, and we need to learn more about solutions we might not be familiar today, like building automation, physical access control systems, and analytics. And here's why. To better manage these physical spaces, leaders need insights about how these spaces are in fact being used. They need insights in the form of utilization data, occupancy trends, and building automation data to make those critical decisions on things like dynamic space adjustments, meaning flexing up and flexing down with spaces, how much available overall space they really need, and spaces that support the way their employees work. And keep in mind that when I talk about spaces, I'm including traditional office spaces, I'm including home office spaces, and any space in between that are designed to allow anyone working out from these types of spaces to be as productive, as engaged, and be able to bring their true self to any encounter as if they were working in person. All of this requires a new, much wider approach, and Microsoft wouldn't be one of the most successful companies in the world if they didn't smell a business opportunity here. In fact, unsurprisingly, during this year's Microsoft Ignite, they did announce something that they called Microsoft Places. Now, I get it. I'm running the risk of oversimplifying things here just a little bit, but I would summarize Microsoft Places as being a set of tools designed to give business leaders the insights they need to make informed decisions on how best to serve their employees. And they will do that by using insights on how people communicate and collaborate and how physical workspaces are being utilized. Folks, this is super high up on the agenda of any business leaders, and we in IT need to take ownership of this opportunity, and we need to be prepared when that call comes, and we are being asked how we can support workplace and workforce automation. Folks, that's it. Thank you so much for making it to the end. If you like this sort of content, why not consider following us on LinkedIn or on YouTube? We are publishing content on a regular basis. So thank you so much. Have a fantastic day.